The crystal-clear ring of the silver bell sliced through the dinner conversation like a surgeon's blade. My skin prickled with heat as 18 pairs of eyes swung toward me, standing behind my nephew's chair with an empty water glass in my hand. The exquisite Ashford Manor dining room, with its hand-carved moldings I'd personally restored, fell into an expectant silence. "Servants must come when called," Oliver announced, his 12-year-old voice carrying effortlessly across the polished mahogany table. He sat smugly beside my sister Rachel, his fingers still gripping the bell as though it were a scepter. The weight of my family's amusement pressed against me from all sides. I met Rachel's gaze over the flickering candles. She didn't flinch, just sipped her wine, poured from bottles I'd purchased, and smiled as though her son had said something charming, rather than humiliating. "Oliver, where did you learn that?" I asked, my voice unnaturally steady despite the thunder in my chest. "Mom taught me," he replied, straightening his designer jacket. "She said that's how proper households work. When you ring the bell, the servants come. That's the rule." My name is Diana. I'm 43 and a historical preservationist. This is the story of how I reclaimed my inheritance from those who mistook my generosity for servitude. The dining room erupted in laughter. Uncle Matthew slapped the table hard enough to make the crystal water goblets jump. Cousin Jessica covered her mouth, but her shoulders shook with poorly concealed mirth. Even my mother, seated at the far end in grandmother's chair, was smiling indulgently. Rachel reached over and patted Oliver's hand. "Well, technically that's true, sweetie, but Aunt Diana is family, not staff." "But you said—" "I know what I said," Rachel cut him off, still smiling. "Just maybe don't ring the bell at family members." She glanced at me with a practiced casualness. Though Diana has always been good at serving others. It's probably the only thing she's actually good at. More laughter cascaded around me. I looked at each of their faces, my extended family enjoying a lavish dinner in what they believed was my sister's mansion. For 4 years, I'd allowed Rachel to live in Ashford Manor rent-free after our grandmother left the entire estate to me. For 4 years, I'd said nothing, as Rachel convinced everyone, including our own mother, that she had inherited the historic property worth $8.5 million. I had been overseas for 6 months following grandmother's death, restoring a medieval castle in Scotland when Rachel moved in. By the time I returned, she had already rewritten the narrative, hosting a housewarming for the extended family. I never corrected her, partly from shock, partly thinking she'd eventually acknowledge the truth. I set my water glass down on the sideboard with deliberate care, walked to the foyer, collected my coat, and left without a word. Behind me, I heard Uncle Matthew say, "Well, that was dramatic," followed by fresh peals of laughter. In my car, I stared through the lit windows at the continuing dinner party. Rachel was standing now, gesturing with her wine glass, everyone rapt. My fingers didn't tremble as I started the engine. My breathing remained even as I drove 20 minutes to my actual home, a comfortable townhouse where I kept all the legal documents proving my ownership of Ashford Manor. The contrast between the manor's opulence and my modest townhouse couldn't have been starker as I unlocked my front door. But this place had something Ashford Manor no longer did: peace. At 9 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Learn respect." 2 words. Not "I'm sorry" or "Oliver was rude" or even "that was inappropriate." Just a command. Learn respect from a woman living in my house, hosting dinners with my furniture, maintaining her social status using my property. I typed back, "Check your mail." Then I called my attorney. "Patricia, it's Diana. I need an eviction notice prepared for Ashford Manor tonight. I want it delivered by courier within 3 hours." "Diana, that's your sister. Are you sure about this?" She taught her 12-year-old son to ring a servant bell at me in my own dining room, then texted me to learn respect. "Yes, I'm sure." "She has no formal lease?" "She's been living there as my guest for 4 years. No rent, no lease agreement, nothing in writing." "Then legally, she's a guest who's overstayed. I can have the notice ready in an hour. But Diana, without a lease, eviction timelines vary. In this state, you'll need to give her at least 30 days. "I know, but I want her to receive the notice tonight. I want her to wake up tomorrow knowing that her time at Ashford Manor is over." At 11:47 p.m., the courier service confirmed. Document delivered to Rachel Morrison at Ashford Manor. Signed for by recipient. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. Rachel. I let it ring through to voicemail. She called again and again. By midnight, she had called 9 times. At 12:14 a.m., a text appeared. "What the hell is this notice?" "Exactly what it says," I replied. "You have 30 days to vacate Ashford Manor." "This is a joke. You can't evict me from my own house." "It's not your house. It's mine. Grandmother left it to me. You've been living there as my guest." "That's not true. You said I could live here as long as I wanted." "I did. And now I'm revoking that invitation. You have 30 days, Rachel." "Because Oliver rang a stupid bell?" "You're kicking me out over that?" "Because you taught your son to ring a bell at me and announce that servants must come when called in my own home, then texted me to learn respect afterward. Yes, that's exactly why." 3 minutes of silence then. "Diana, please. This is my home. Oliver goes to school here. I host charity events here. Everyone thinks this is my house. Everyone thinks it's your house because you told them it was. You've been performing wealth and status using my property for 4 years. That ends in 30 days. Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't know, but you have a month to figure it out. And Rachel, you might want to start by teaching Oliver that not everyone is his servant." I turned off my phone and went to bed, sleeping better than I had in years. The next morning, my mother called at 7:15 a.m. "Diana, what on earth is going on?" Rachel called me hysterical at 2 in the morning saying you're evicting her from Ashford Manor. "That's correct." "You can't be serious. That's Rachel's home." "No, Mom. It's my home. Grandmother left it to me. Rachel has been living there as my guest. You believed her because the reading of the will was private between me, grandmother's attorney, and Rachel. She must have told you she inherited it while I was abroad, and I never corrected the misconception because I thought it didn't matter who legally owned it as long as it remained in the family." Silence stretched between us, but Rachel said grandmother left it to her. Rachel lied. The will was very clear. I inherited the estate. I allowed Rachel to live there because I thought she'd appreciate it and care for it properly. "Then why are you evicting her now?" I explained about the dinner, about Oliver ringing the bell, about servants must come when called, about Rachel's text telling me to learn respect. Mom was quiet for a long moment. "Oliver rang a bell at you?" "Yes, like I was a servant in my own dining room while 17 people laughed and Rachel just smiled and told everyone I'm good at serving others. It's all I'm good at, apparently." "Oh, Diana. I've let Rachel live in an $8.5 million estate rent-free for 4 years. I've paid the property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance costs. I've never asked her for a penny, and she taught her son to ring a bell at me. What do you want me to say?" "I don't want you to say anything. I'm calling to let you know that Rachel has 30 days to vacate. After that, I'm putting the estate on the market. I'm done." "You're selling Ashford Manor?" "Yes, grandmother wanted me to protect it, but she also wanted it to be a family home, filled with love and respect. It's neither of those things anymore. It's a stage where Rachel performs wealth she doesn't have. I'm done enabling that." Mom started to say something, then stopped. "Can I ask you one thing?" "What?" "Why did you never tell anyone you owned it?" "Because I thought it didn't matter. I thought Rachel would just be grateful for a beautiful place to live. I didn't realize she'd turn it into a social performance and teach her children that I'm beneath them." After we hung up, I drove to Ashford Manor. The morning sun cast long shadows across the historic facade as I parked my car in the circular driveway. It was 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Rachel's car was in the circular driveway. I used my key and walked into the entrance hall. Rachel was in the morning room, still in her bathrobe, looking like she hadn't slept. "Diana, we need to talk." "You have 28 days left. Please, I'll apologize. I'll make Oliver apologize. I'll tell everyone that the estate is yours. I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't make me leave." 4 years ago, I gave you an incredible gift. A mansion, 40 acres, no rent, no strings, and you turned it into a performance. You convinced everyone it was yours. You hosted parties and played Lady of the Manor. And when I showed up to a family dinner in my own house, your son rang a bell at me like I was the help. I never told him to do that. You taught him that servants must come when called, he said. So you taught your child that some people are servants and some people are masters, in my house. I was trying to teach him about formal household management, how things were done historically. By treating me like a servant? Rachel looked at her hands. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Your text said, learn respect. Not that was wrong. You told me to learn respect after your son rang a bell at me. I was angry that you left. You embarrassed me in front of our guests. I embarrassed you? Your son rang a servant bell at me and announced the rules for how servants should behave. And I embarrassed you? She didn't answer. I've spent 4 years letting you live in my grandmother's house. I've paid 6 figures annually in property taxes and maintenance. I've never asked for anything in return, and the one time I attend a dinner party at my own estate, I get treated like staff. What do you want from me? What can I do to fix this? Move out. Find your own place. Build your own life. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. Diana, please. Oliver's school is here. My entire social circle is here. The charity board thinks I'm hosting the spring gala at the manor. I can't just... You have 28 days. I walked out before she could say anything else. I walked back to my car and drove away, already feeling lighter with each mile between us. Over the next week, the family pressure came in waves. Uncle Matthew called, telling me I was being unreasonable and vindictive. Cousin Jessica sent a long email about how Rachel had made mistakes, but meant well. Even my mother called again, asking me to reconsider for Oliver's sake. I didn't respond to any of them. On day 12, Rachel sent me photos, Oliver holding a handwritten apology letter and Rachel standing in the doorway of Ashford Manor crying. I deleted them without responding. On day 23, my attorney called. Rachel's lawyer contacted me. They're asking for a 90-day extension. She needs more time to find a place. No extensions. Diana, she has a child. The schools. She has 7 days left. If she's not out by day 30, we proceed with formal eviction through the courts. No extensions. On day 29, a moving truck appeared at Ashford Manor. On day 30, Rachel was gone. I drove to the estate that evening. The house was empty. The furniture remained. It had all belonged to my grandmother, but Rachel's personal belongings were gone. I walked through the rooms, remembering Sunday dinners with grandmother, the way she taught me about the history of each piece of furniture, the gardens she'd maintained, the library where she'd read to me as a child. This house had been filled with love once. It had been a family home, but Rachel had turned it into a stage, a performance space, a place where 12-year-olds learned to ring bells at their aunts. I called a real estate agent the next morning. I want to list Ashford Manor, 40 acres, historic estate, $8.5 million. The listing went live 3 days later. My mother called, crying, "You're really selling it? Grandmother's house?" Grandmother wanted it to be a place of love and respect. It's not that anymore. Maybe the next family will make it that again. What will you do with the money? I don't need the money, Mom. I'll donate most of it. Children's charities, probably. Kids who need to learn that kindness matters more than silver bells and servants. The estate sold in 6 weeks to a tech CEO and his wife, who fell in love with the gardens and the library. They had 3 young daughters who wanted to learn to ride horses on the property. I signed the papers and never looked back. 6 months later, I heard through my mother that Rachel had moved to a smaller house in a neighboring town. Oliver had transferred to a public school, and according to Mom, the experience had humbled him considerably. Rachel had found a job at an interior design firm, her first real employment in years. Some houses are built with bricks and mortar, some are built with love and respect, and some are just stages where people perform wealth they never earned. I'm glad I finally knew the difference. And I'm glad Oliver learned at 12 that servants don't come when you ring a bell. Sometimes they just leave. And sometimes they take the whole house with them. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, 0 cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.